Hey guys, so we're going to talk about Havoc today, and specifically the Momentum build. There is a demonic build you can use. It is very good, but in my opinion, Momentum is a lot more fun to play, and it is outperforming demonic most situations right now. And yeah, so we're going to go over what you can do to get your DPS up and sit at the top of the meters where you belong as a demon hunter, right? Right. So first off, we'll go through the talents. This is the talent build. The only thing I do here for Raid and Mythic Plus I'll change is literally this one talent. Mythic Plus, it's nice to have the extra stun. For Raids, don't need it, so take the extra glaive in case you're out of range and you want to get that extra bit of damage in. Very situational, but still. This is also good in Mythic Plus for weeks where you'll need like an extra snare, so if you ever need to kite from ads, it's kind of handy, especially during the spiteful weeks. You get an ad on you can throw a glaive at it and get away quite easily. But yeah, so that's basically the only thing we changed. So we'll go over them. Foul Blade, amazing. It's your opener basically, your first button you'll press. Really, really useful. It basically just lets you charge into an opponent like this. Bring it close enough. There you go. Bang. Gives you a ton of fury as well, so definitely a solid choice. If you're using Demon Blades, you need to use Demon Blade, Foul Blade. They're like they synergize really well. Demon Blades basically means you don't have a button that you just smash all the time. Like this removes Demon's Bite. So you're not going to just be pressing Demon's Bite to gain Fury. You just got to be in range and auto attack to get more Fury. And it's great. Unbound Chaos. Doesn't matter what build you run as a Demon Hunter. You're running Unbound Chaos. It's just too good. Every situation. You can tell I'm a Demon Hunter. I can't stay still. I'll try and stay still. So this basically just makes your Fell Rush amazing. And you'll use it. Just take it. Nether Walk. This is another one where you could change depending on what you prefer. Soul Rending is good. You know, the extra leech and stuff like that. But Nether Walk's just too good. It's basically an immune. It's almost an immune. It doesn't quite act like an immune, but in simple terms, it's an immune. For a lot of boss mechanics and even in dungeons, you can use it just to completely negate like a charge from a boss or something like that. So it's a good get out of dodge and very useful spell, so you need to take that. Essence Break, I'm going to go into more detail when we come into the rotation. But basically, you can see what it says there. It just makes your Chaos Strikes do a lot more damage, including your Blade Dance as well. Again, we just spoke about this. That's a stun. Great for Mythic Plus. Glaives is what you'd use for raiding. And then Momentum, the only one you'll ever choose, right? I know there's some demonic builds out there and they are good, but Momentum's where it's at. And that's what this guy's going to be about. So, Momentum, when you Foul Rush, it increases your damage done by 15% for 6 seconds. Very, very, very cool. And then Vengeful Retreat's cooldown is reduced and also generates Fury. So, that's the talent build. You need to make sure you have those on. We'll go over Souldbinds real quick. I'm not going to spend too much time because there's so many different builds, so many different ways you can do it. I have switched from Kyrian to Knife Bait because I was previously Vengeance. And Knife Bait is just better. There is a build with Kyrian if you use Mechanicos that's very good for Mythic Plus, but I think still overall you're going to be doing better, especially in raids, as Knife Phase. So for raiding, you'd want to use Naya. You can pause the video now and you can go and put all these in. Again, there are little changes you can do. I know a lot of people like to use the Unnatural Malice Conduit, which is very good, but I prefer running the Relentless Onslaught for double kill chance to proc a Chaos Strike, which is just extremely good. You could go a different route instead of going down here with Burrs and fit it in there, fit it in somewhere else. Where is it there? You can fit it in here, but I personally like this build. So this is your raiding setup. For Mythic Plus, you'll use Karain. I don't know if that's how you say it. So you'd use this build. And again, pause the screen if you want, put all these conduits in, and you're good to go. When you get down here, you could go this way. These aren't too, game-changing really. I just prefer this section, but yeah, this is amazing. First Strike is the reason Karain is just so good. Every time you damage an enemy for the first time, they basically give you 25% crit for 5 seconds. There's a lot of dungeons that are useful where, like in Halls of Atonement, there are ads that get ads spawn basically if you don't interrupt the caster there, and if you just throw a glaive or hit them, you get 25% crit, and you can just like I-beam or Blade Dance, and you're going to do way more damage. So again, this is your Mythic Plus one for sure. I'm going to activate the raid one just for now so we can go over the raid rotation and stuff like that. Legendaries, I mean, again, you could, there's a lot of different ones you could take, but If you want to just be, if you only want to make one legendary that kind of covers everything, I'd go with the Everburn on a cloak. You don't want to do it on chest because that's a domination socket. So this is the one where Demon Spite leaves a wound on your enemy. It's just simple. It's like passive. You don't have to worry about it too much. In Mythic Plus situations, you do have to tab around a little bit to try and spread the debuff on enemies to get like the maximum use out of it. But it's great, and it's also your #1 go-to for raids. So if you were in Mythic Plus, you could change, is it Darkler Medallion, Darkler Boom, something like that. The one that gives Eye-Beam a chance to not incur its cooldown. That's great, but that's more for the demonic build, not so much the momentum build. So personally, get Everburn on a cloak. That's it. One legendary. And you can just forget about farming Torghast, you know, because Torghast is so much fun. Yeah, so, right. There's 2 changes to your opener, basically, if you were doing Mythic Plus and if you were doing raids. So we'll just go through the raid opener quickly. So the first thing, you can pop Immolation Aura before you go in, before you pull, which is what I like to do. You can also pop it in straight after, but personally I like just popping. So this is what we'll do. We'll just do, like, say this pull-down timer. We'll wait for the pull-down timer to get to like 5 or something. We'll pop Immolation Aura.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alright, and then we'll Foul Blade in. We'll Foul Rush out. We'll then Hunt straight away. Eye-Beam. Vengeful Retreat, pop meta so we don't go anywhere. Eye-Beam again. Essence Break. Foul Rush. Pop your trinkets or your pots. And then go crazy on the boss for a bit. As soon as your momentum window's out, pop Immolation Aura, Foul Rush, Foul Blade, and then go again. You can see Foul Blade's procced again. We got Vengeful Retreat coming up with Essence Break. So what then, at this situation, what you do is you would Vengeful Retreat, Foul Blade back in, Essence Break, Foul Rush, and then dump again. Right, then you got Eye-Beam coming back up, Immolation Aura coming back up. Right, and we carry on. It's basically rinse and repeat that. So I'll go over that like what I just did there in like slow motion, as it were. So basically, Immolation Aura, right? And then you Foul Blades, close the distance, and gain a load of Fury. The reason you pop Immolation Aura before pull is because Immolation passively regenerates Fury. And before you go into a momentum window, you want to have all your Fury regens on. Because when you're in momentum, you don't want to press anything that's going to generate Fury. You want to press everything on Chaos Strike or Eye-Beam or Blade Dance, you know, your Fury spenders, because it's such a short window. You don't want to be wasting time pressing buttons you don't need to. Like, you need to make sure that when you're in momentum, you're doing damage. You're not just building Fury. That's pointless. It's completely, you know, the opposite thing you want to do. So this is why we do Immolation Aura before we're in a momentum window. Foul Blade, we got more Fury. Vengeful Retreat, if you hit an enemy, puts a passive Fury generation on you. So you can Vengeful Retreat. Now you've got Fury again. Now you've got everything going on. You'll be like nearly max Fury. And as soon as you go into momentum, as you're dumping your Fury on Chaos Strike, you're then regenerating Fury passively, which means you can just keep dumping Fury away, which is amazing. So the few little like niche tricks you can do with this, and they all depend on situations, what cooldowns you have up at the same time, but it's all about Essence Break and Foul Rush. So it's taken me a while to kind of understand the best use of it. But basically, my favorite way of using it, if Foul Blade is up, what I like to do is I will Vengeful Retreat, and then mid-air, I will Foul Blade, so I kind of cancel the jump away. So you Vengeful Retreat and then Foul Blade back in. Now I haven't really moved anywhere. I can Essence Break and then Foul Rush, and I'm in momentum, and I've got like, you know, momentum and Essence Breaker on like the same kind of time. So I can dump my Fury, and it's, you know, it's all pretty good. There's not a massive advantage to having Essence Break up without momentum, really. You want to try and synergize them as well as you can. Sometimes, you know, it might not happen, but most of the time, if you can, you want to do that. Now, you might not have Foul Blade proc. You might be on cooldown, and you'll have Essence Break, Vengeful Retreat come up. You always want to use, apart from on the opener, you always want to use Vengeful Retreat and Essence Break together because they're on the same cooldown. And Essence Break, they just work well. Like, you can Vengeful Retreat and Essence Break at the same time. So if Foul Blade isn't off cooldown, just put it on cooldown. Right, I don't have Foul Blade on cooldown. Oh no. What you can do is you Vengeful Retreat and then immediately press Essence Break. So you go bang, bang, Essence Break's on, and then Foul Rush back in. And again, they're on about the same timer. You can dump your Fury. It's a good way to do it. My favorite, though, is to Vengeful, Foul Blade, Essence, Foul Rush. I just feel like it puts me in a better position to make sure that I'm not missing any damage with Foul Rush. But again, if Foul Blade's not off, then Vengeful Retreat, Essence Break, and then Foul Rush back in is, you know, absolutely fine. Another thing is Immolation Aura. Never save it. Immolation Aura, when you press it, will give you a 20 seconds of your Unbound Chaos. So you don't need to like pop Immolation Aura when your Foul Rush is off cooldown. You can just pop Immolation Aura, and then at some point your Foul Rush is going to be available, and you're going to use your Unbound Chaos buff. You don't want to like save and hold on to Immolation Aura thinking you're going to waste that. So never ever, if Immolation Aura pops up, you always press it, apart from if you're in your Fury dumping window and you have plenty of Fury. If you're in your Fury dumping window and you haven't got Fury, then yes, pop it. Same with Foul Blade, but ideally you want to enter those momentum windows with your Fury already regenerating and enough Fury to actually get by. So if we go back to the opener again, say we're not using Naya now, and we're using Karain. So the reason on Naya that we hunt before we I-beam is because of this, the Grove Invigoration. When you hunt, you get 12 stacks of the redirected anima. So you want to hunt before you do your damage, because that buff is big. So on the opener for raiding, like we do Immolation Aura, Foul Blade, Foul Rush, and then we instantly hunt. And then we go into our, I-beam and so forth. When you're playing Karain, I don't know if I can change because I'm in combat maybe. No, I can't. When you're in Karain, you don't need to do that anymore. In Karain, you want to I-beam before a hunt because you get the haste buff from I-beaming. So if we hit I-beam now, and you finish the whole I-beam, never ever cancel an I-beam unless you're going to get hit by something that's going to kill you, because being dead is like less damage. But if you're not going to die, never cancel an I-beam. Even if you're quaking on top of a healer, they move. Okay, they move. If you fully cast your I-beam, you get a haste buff. And that haste buff will then increase the damage from the hunt and all your other damaging abilities. So when you're in Mythic Plus and you're running Karain, you never hunt before and you hunt and then I-beam. No, okay, I'm losing my words. When you're Karain, you always I-beam and then hunt. If you're in raid, you hunt and then I-beam if you're Naya. So that's the only real change, to be honest. It's like your opener and your rotation, as that were. One thing I haven't mentioned is Blade Dance yet. So Blade Dance you only press on like 3 or more targets. And in raid there are a lot of bosses where there might be ads and they're situational and stuff. So yeah, there's 3+ ads. But most of the time you're going to be dumping all your Fury on Chaos Strike. In Mythic Plus, however, nearly every single pack obviously is going to be a lot of ads. So you would literally do your opener, but instead of going into Chaos Strike, you'd press Blade Dance, and then whenever it's off cooldown, you'd press it again. Trying to think if there's anything else I've missed. But yeah, so another thing I mentioned earlier is if you Vengeful Retreat and then meta, it cancels the Vengeful Retreat, which is really, really handy, especially on your raid opener. Really, really, really good. Let me go back to raid again. Alright, so we'll do the opener one more time here. I think I've got all cooldowns up. We'll just reset this just for, why not? So again, Immolation Aura. Foul Blade. That didn't move anywhere for some reason. There we go. So one other thing you can do to maximize your damage is with your Foul Rush. Especially in Mythic Plus, but it counts for everything really. You have your Immolation Aura up, you get your Unbound Chaos buff. Foul Rush is now going to do insane damage, and in Mythic Plus it's great because it's uncapped AoE. So what you want to do is, if you have to delay for like 3 seconds to get in a better position, so you're going to hit as many targets as possible, that is the better way to do it. Don't just Foul Rush because you want to press it straight away and hit like 2 targets when there's like 8, and you could have lined yourself up better, and you could like hit every single ad. You can do way more damage than if you just hit like 1 or 2. So making sure you're aligned well before you foul rush is huge increase to your DPS, and the same goes for like on raid bosses. So sometimes you might find yourself too far away from the raid boss. If I was to foul rush here, I wouldn't actually hit the boss. I wouldn't get the damage buff from foul rush anyway. But if it was the Unbound Chaos damage you're losing, then it's huge. So if you find yourself too far away like this, throw a glaive as you're running in and then foul rush. Never foul rush if you're like not going to hit anything really. It's not a good idea, but especially in Mythic Plus, huge amount of AoE to be gained by making sure you get yourself in a good position, wait for the tank to round everything up, line yourself up with everything, foul rush through, big damage. So now later in the fight, you're going to have weird timings with things like meta coming up at the same time as your Vengeful Retreat, Essence Break, and you only got one foul rush. And there's a few different ways you can do this. So you can just do the usual Vengeful Retreat, Essence Break, foul rush, and instead of going into burning your Fury with Chaos Strike, you could actually I-beam to get the haste buff and then Chaos Strike. What I like to do though is I actually like to use an I-beam. If it's single target, right? I like to do an I-beam without foul rush to get the haste buff, then go into a momentum window and then dump your Fury on Chaos Strike, because I feel like the haste buff from I-beam helps you do more damage with the momentum window and Chaos Strike than it would do if you were to just foul rush and I-beam. But that's only like if you definitely can't, because sometimes like you'll have foul rush up, everything else up, and then foul rush might be up in like 5 seconds. So in that situation, you would still Immolation Aura, foul rush, I-beam, and then go into a momentum window, because by then you by the time you've done Vengeful Retreat, Essence Break, Foul Blade, foul rush is going to be up again. So you want to avoid that as much as you can. But in the situation where that happens, I would personally say I-beam, get the haste buff from it, then go into momentum window and stuff like that. I'm sure there's millions of things I've missed, and there is a lot more to go in depth with this, but I didn't want to make like an hour-long video of everything you need to do. I just wanted to make a quick note on how to use your Essence Break and momentum windows together to make the most use out of it, and to help you with your openers on raids and stuff like that. But if you have any questions, I stream like every day on Twitch, so just pop by and ask me a question. I'll try and help out as much as I can. I do a lot of like community raids and dungeons, so you can come do a key with me or something. And yeah, hopefully this helped you out. If it did, please, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff YouTubers, have to say for some reason. But seriously, I hope you take away from this some good information, and you actually start smashing the meters and be top of the meters in the dungeons and the raids, and all your friends will be like, "What have you done? You're a god!" And just tell them, "Yeah, you need to play Demon Hunter, man, because no other character in the game has wings." I mean, who else can fly around Korthia and get a chest as good as we can? Because that's what the game's all about right now. It's Korthia and Torghast. And yeah. But yeah, seriously, thank you very much. Good girl.